Hey everyone, this is Julie. I am filling in for Janina, who is recovering, and we send her all our love, and we hope she gets better fast, because we love her very, very much. Today's subject, and this week's subject, is how has weight loss surgery changed the way you love yourself and others? If so, how? And what is the difference between self-esteem versus vanity? Okay, I just straightforward answered this because for me, weight loss surgery changed a lot of things. Not just the physical, but also in here the inside too. So physically, it changed about how whether I cared about how I looked. When I was, for those of you who don't know, 3.5 years ago, I had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and I weighed 310 pounds. I'm 5'9", and I lost 140 pounds. So when I was 310 pounds, I cared about how I looked, but there was not a lot, as many of you know, who are still in the losing phase or considering weight loss surgery. There's just not a lot of options when you're obese to look nice. I mean, in clothes, you're limited to what plus size garment makers think that you can look like. And so I cared, but there weren't a lot of options, and it certainly wasn't my style. And now that I have lost my weight and maintained it more or less, because I do fluctuate, it took me about a year to figure out my own style. You know, I kind of went on this whole phase of like, I want trying to recreate my 20s. I'll be 50 in a month. So I tried to, I think I went younger than I should have gone in my clothes. Not that you can't go really young, but you know, when you have 20-year-old children, it kind of I think you have to say, I don't need to necessarily dress, or at least for me, I didn't feel comfortable dressing like my daughter and my son and stuff like that. So one thing that changed with weight loss surgery is I cared about how I looked, and I figured out how I wanted to look. I wasn't relegated to clothes that somebody else decided that an obese person should be wearing, which frankly a lot of the clothes no obese person should wear. But they're not obese when they make them, so what would they know, right? So I cared about my clothes, I care about my looks, to a certain degree. I've always been, and I still kind of remain very kind of basics kind of person. Like, I put on lipstick so that you guys wouldn't think that I was just woken up, and I put on cover up so that my dark circles wouldn't appear. But otherwise, I'm kind of a basics person, so I've kind of stayed that way. Yeah, I was that even when I was morbidly obese. So there's that. I care about my health. I'm getting back to the original question. How has it changed the way you love yourself and others? I care about my health a lot, and what I put into my body. I care about that tremendously. I care that I eat enough vegetables. I care that I eat enough protein. For me, I eat low carb because carbs and I don't mix well together. And everybody's got their own journey, but my journey has been a low carb journey, and it's what works for me. I haven't had a soda in 3.5 years, and it doesn't look like I'm going to have one anytime soon. How has it changed the way I love others? You know, and it's interesting, you know, I didn't think of love as being, I didn't think of love as being like affectionate love, because I've always been very affectionate with my family, and I've always told them that I love them, and there's not been an emotional difference in how I treat my family. I think there is an emotional difference in how I treat myself, and I'll get to that in a minute. But for right now, I think that also love also manifests itself as not just the emotional, but how you think and feel and are concerned about yourself and other people, and your actions too. So that's kind of what I focused on. I didn't focus as much on the emotional, because except for myself, and that's a big exception, I'll get to that in a minute, weight loss surgery didn't really change how I treat my family, I don't believe. However, how do I love my family? Through my actions and my concerns. I care about what they eat now. You know, I was thinking back to when I was morbidly obese, and I was single parenting it for a while when my husband was serving in Iraq. And I think we ate pizza every other night, and I think we also ate lots of Chinese takeout. You know, I mean, just stuff that, you know, I was overwhelmed, the kids were overwhelmed, I was, you know, that kind of thing. And so in my mind, for some reason, it made it easier to order out, and now I know that's different. So I care about what my family eats. I care about what my pets eat. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I do care about what they eat. And I care that my family has weight issues. And I know that my son, Daniel, could say, he's sitting right here listening to me and he's laughing. My son Daniel could say that I'm a little obsessive about it, but I don't want them to experience what I experienced, and so I'm always on my soapbox about eating well and eating right and treating your body well. I care that my family exercises. It's really important for me to see them exercise and move their bodies, and I think that that's primarily because I couldn't. And when I had weight loss surgery and I lost my weight and I was able to move, and I found so much enjoyment and I felt so much better when I did move, that I think it's really important for them as well. Now to the emotional part. How has weight loss surgery changed the way you love yourself? I've got my little list over here, that's why I'm looking at it. I care about my boundaries. I kind of let people walk all over me because I really wanted people to like me, and I really wanted my friends to always like me, and I really wanted my friends who I thought were friends to include me. And I found out that that's not the way life works. And the people who are good for you will stay in your life when you create good boundaries for yourself and for them. So I demand that people treat me with respect, and I think that that's different. I think that I didn't demand it before, and when people don't treat me with respect, and when I don't have a relationship that is healthy, and I've recently gone through this with several family members, I have to say, okay, well, you know, even my family members who don't treat me with respect and don't treat me the way I would like to be treated, don't deserve to be as close to me as other people do. It's often said that, your family is something that you can't, that you had no say over, but you can create your own family through friends. And I think that's really true. I care enough now to say no. I was not a no person before, and now I say no a lot. I have to. And I care about my physical environment, meaning that I care enough about me that that my physical environment also reflects what I want, how I want to feel. When I have piles of stuff, and I tend to be a person that creates piles, I feel cramped and I feel suffocated by my piles. And I know that when I take the time to take care of my environment, I feel free and unencumbered. And that may be a me thing, but it works for me. So the final question was, what is the difference between self-esteem and vanity? And I kind of wrote this out because I tend to do better writing than I do thinking on my feet as I'm saying this. So forgive me as I look to the side to my notes. I wrote, self-esteem is recognizing our own intrinsic value, our own value as a person, our own knowing that each one of us, has value. It's knowing that I bring gifts to the table that perhaps no one else does, and that everyone has their own gifts, own and unique gifts. That I'm not the only person that has gifts, that everyone has gifts to bring, and that we all share in bringing gifts to the table that no one else possesses. And I think that self-esteem reflects just that you know your gifts and know that you can bring those gifts. But it's also recognizing that everyone else has those gifts as well. Not the same gifts, but gifts that they can also bring to the table and help others as well. I define vanity, the dictionary defines vanity as excessive pride in oneself. And this is what I wrote, I think that when one does not hold him or herself up to be an example, for example, that vanity, then vanity does not come into play. If you're not being, in other words, vanity is recognizing the light that each person has. Vanity is not, recognizing the light that each person has, that the value each person has. Vanity says, and it assumes that one's journey, one's life, or one's gifts are superior to someone else's. My weight loss journey is going to be completely different than somebody else's weight loss journey. And that's fine because it works for me. I'm an individual person. What works for me might not work for my son Daniel, or might not work for my husband Steve, or might not work for my friends. I know it works for me. I can recommend it because it does work for me, but is it superior? Not at all. So I think vanity is defined in thinking that your way is the only way. Whether it's a weight loss journey, or your gifts are superior to somebody else's gifts, or even thinking that what you bring to the table is worth more than what somebody else can bring to the table. I think that's vanity. I know that maybe perhaps this question was about physical vanity versus intellectual or emotional vanity, but I actually think that if someone is physically vain, thinking that they are better looking, or superior because, you know, of their body size or whatever. I think actually it starts up here. They start believing that their gifts, their physical gift of being either attractive or physically smaller than someone else is superior to somebody else's physical outwards. And it all starts up here. I think everything manifests itself right here, and we are outside our shell, our bodies are a reflection of what is going on up here. So that's it for me. I hope I didn't talk on too much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.